Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, even depending on where you are in the world. Welcome back to another exciting, happy, positive vibes only episode of Red Room, where we talk about Liverpool. Yes, we do. We talk about Liverpool. How are we, people? Hope everyone's doing well. Listen, I've had enough. I've absolutely had enough of the doom and the gloom. We listen. I want to celebrate. It's been a weird weekend. I don't know about you guys, but watching everyone play shit is so funny. Everyone's rubbish. Everyone's rubbish. I'm telling you. And we're no different. Never think you're special. That's why I say we're rubbish as well. Hey, listen, you're rubbish, we're rubbish. What a way to look at things, eh? Everyone's rubbish. We go again next season. But people, welcome back to the Red Room. Hope everyone is doing well. As you can see, I have got a wonderful, wonderful panel of faces in front of you that some you have seen on the panel before and some you may not. I will go to the some you may not first and straight away and welcome Lola, who's making a debut on the Red Room. Hope you're doing very well.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here. I'm doing very well.
Excellent. That sounds amazing. It's an honor to be here, and she's doing very well. I mean, listen, what more could we want? Keith Cross is in the building. Keith Cross, you tweeted, come and shout and scream at me in your invitation to people to come and view it. Is there a reason why you want people to shout and scream at you?
I have never, in all my time being on Twitter, X, okay, have seen my notification tab say 20 plus every day, all day, since this whole debate around manager and X, Y, and Z player and blah, blah, blah has happened. It's passionate. There's a lot of passion out there at the moment. A lot of good points, a lot of not so good points, a lot of rude points, a lot of not so rude points. So why not join us in the comment section where you could spar face to face, manner to manner?
So
we all love Liverpool. So
I think what people are going to want to know. I know you for years, so I know you're not a rage baiter, right? That's a new word, right? I've learned it. I'm getting there, right? So rage bait. So some people would say, are you rage baiting, or do you believe in the things you say? Now you're going to go on to say the things that you're going to say, and we'll see if the rest of the panel agree or disagree. But you're not a rage baiter, are you?
Do you know what? I not only believe in what I say, I've been saying it on your channel in various different formats for the past 4 or 5 years. So you wanted to look at consistency in the way things I've always seen them. I see it how I see it, and I have an opinion, and a very, very, very strong opinion that I will fight for. But doesn't mean that I'm trying to get people to be upset with something I don't believe in. For me, that's a waste of time. I've got better things to do with my life. But when it's something I do believe in, I love a difference of opinion and I love to joust. And I think it's always healthy to debate, especially in the situation we're in, because it's not perfect. It's not great. I'd rather we be winning every week, but we're not. So many things are up for debate, and I'm looking forward to talking about it today.
As people know, if you haven't watched Red Room before, this is one of the first panel shows. In fact, it is the first panel show on Anfield Index. And obviously Gags and Eddie and Co have asked me to host this. And what we're trying to bring to the Red Room is sort of all your takes on social media and discuss them in a panel form on here. So there will be differing opinions. There will be same opinions. But what we always want and what we always ask for is respect in the comments, whether you agree or disagree, because that's the best way forward. And I'll just block you anyway. You guys already know what I'm like. I'm very, very straightforward. I treat you as you're going to treat us. If you treat us with love and respect, my God, we will shower you with love and respect. But if you're rude and obnoxious and whatever, I'll just tell you to piss off and block you. At the very least, probably swear at you as well, give you a few names. Darren, you're nothing like that. From what I know, what a lovely man you are, Darren. What a lovely football club you support, Darren. How is it making you feel these days? How are you?
Yeah, it's a great football club, Grizz, and I think in recent times people do seem to forget that a little bit. But I'm very well, thank you. Looking forward to hearing the differing opinions. To be fair, not met any of you guys before either, so looking forward to it.
Excellent, and we've got Welshmo, my favourite Welshman in the world, after
Who?
After Ian Rush.
Oh, Rushy. Yeah, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh yeah, Rushy. Look how he says Rushy like he meets him every week, like for a drink. Oh, Rushy, yeah, Rushy.
He's been to my father's restaurant. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I knew it. I know Mo's a man with connections. I do know that. But
So
definitely my second favorite Welshman ever. Hope you're doing well, Mo. Did you go? By the way, did you go this last?
yeah, I was at Burnley.
Oh God. Well, I guess I'll start with you. What we're going to try to do is look back, look present, and look future, and everything else that's in between. Talking points. We remain unbeaten. Last week we asked, is this an AI run or is this real run of results? Like, is this real? And it's real. We are now 12 unbeaten. But I just want you to sort of give us a view from what it was like being in the ground. We know we heard about the boos, we heard about the atmosphere before and afterwards. Just give us your viewpoint.
First and foremost, have a big shout out to everyone in the chat. Smash that like button. Thanks for watching. Give everyone a follow as well. Everyone's names on the old on the tags there. But yeah, as you know, I go home and away as much as I can, pretty much every game. Building up to this game, I think the Anfield crowd, depending where I sit, I've set all different stands of the ground. They were quite supportive of Slot. You can see it was almost like a 70%, 80% towards it. I give the guy time; he'll turn it around. Fast forward a few weeks now to that weekend just gone, the Burnley game. I think there was a sense of everyone just knew what was going to come. Now, don't get me wrong, the first 40 minutes, the first half even, it was really good actually. And, the crowd was behind the team and everyone was buzzing. Second half though, everyone sort of knew what was going to happen. The way the game slowed down and the way we slowed down and started giving away chances. And then the guy next to me turned to me and said, we're gonna throw this away. It's gonna be 1-1 soon. And lo and behold, 10 minutes later, it was 1-1. We just we genuinely looked at each other, me and him, and we just laughed. We just laughed. And now from 80-20, what I said about 4 or 5 weeks ago, you can see now there's a big, I would say, where I was sitting especially, everyone was like, I'll get him out, So I think fans are slowly turning. And the problem is, once you lose even a percentage of the Anfield crowd, that hole is harder for you to get out of. So, Arne Slot's been putting out fires all season. In the season, he's never been tested like this before from an adversity perspective, from legends passing away to legends leaving on a free. Everything's been thrown at him. So I do sympathise for him, from a little bit. But he's, at the end of the day, he's still, the buck lands on his doorstep if he's the coach. He sends the team out to battle every week with his tactics and his, his way of play. What I just didn't like and what a lot of crowd didn't like is, for example, I'm not picking on Dom, but Dom was a culprit on the weekend where he'd have the ball and he'd just stand still, come to a stop and go to a walking pace. And allowing the team, Burnley in this case, to reshape and get back, men behind the ball. And you can see the groans and moans in the crowd from that, whereas, and especially when the Anfield crowd cop end starts singing attack, Simmons wrong. Anyway, I can go on and on, but, I want to give everyone a fair chance.
Well, it's good. Thank you very much for that in-depth. I just asked for a quick summary, but as usual, you stole the limelight. Gave me a whole hypnosis of the whole show game. I guess that's the end of Red Room for today, people. Thank you very much for. I'm joking. Keith, you obviously are one of the people that would never boo. What's the big talking point? And we're not gonna go into the specifics of the game because it's all been said and done, and everyone's sort of broken it down. But what's your views around the booing scenario? Mo tells us that there was a quite significant. Would you say significant booing, Mo? Would you say
it was noticeable at the end? Definitely noticeable.
Okay, Keith. Obviously, from that we had, as usual, splits and fights and arguments and all sorts of drama on the timeline with regards to, oh, should we be free to boo? We shouldn't boo. All of that, Milaki, what's your opinion and view?
Well, after you opened Boogate with Trent Alexander-Arnold, everyone can get it these days, isn't it? Let's be honest. And listen, for me personally, I think the boos are a collective of obviously genuine frustration that a game that we should have quite comfortably won, we didn't win, and once again drew another football match. I think it's like 4 draws in a row, something stupid like that. And that's...
Keith, can I interrupt? I'm so sorry. Keith, can I interrupt you for just 1 second? Do you remember you talking about the lack of draws with Liverpool 3 months ago?
Yes.
Do you remember being so vocal about we never draw?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because you know I've read a few people say, "Oh, why can't we just win a few games, lose a few games? I'd be much happier than that than drawing." And I thought to myself, well, that's what happened when the whole 9 and 12 thing. We were winning, loss, winning, loss. So it's kind of like we just there is no balance this season. But I can understand why the Anfield crowd are starting to get a bit more like, there's someone else. The whole Alonso thing for me has put Arne Slot under a lot of pressure. The Salah thing was the first thing. And so that was kind of like where people got upset with him, because people support the player other than the club. The second one, with now Alonso being available, it's now, all right, cool. You pissed off our best player. You aren't Alonso because you don't have that connection with the club in that same way. Now you really got to show me something to show why you still deserve to be here. And I think that was Liverpool fans' first showing to say, that's not good enough, and there's someone else that could take your job tomorrow. I honestly think that him being sacked from Real Madrid has put a big spanner in the works, and is playing a role in that, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lola, I tweeted at the end of the game that I think the landscape has changed dramatically. Now, obviously, previous to the Alonso sacking, there was discontent. There was still, I don't know percentage-wise in terms of fan base, whether they wanted a new coach, but I think the landscape totally changed, especially from a fan's point of view. Do you think, it's probably putting you on the spot, but do you think it would have changed the landscape from the hierarchy, the ownership, the people that make the decisions point of view as well?
I do. I absolutely do. And my reason for thinking that is we've seen it before with Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, it wasn't quite the same circumstances. He wasn't sacked by Borussia Dortmund, but the right man became available. And I've hated all season long the parallels with Brendan Rodgers. People have been drawing parallels with that unbeaten run we went on in 14-15 when we went to 3 at the back and things improved a bit. Now, Brendan Rodgers and Arne Slot are very different, but the parallel here is that the right man and the first choice of the decision makers back when Jurgen Klopp announced he was leaving, he's become available. And I think that does, we can't deny that it changes things. Of course it changes things. He was the first choice of the guys that make the decisions, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards and whoever else. He was the first choice of the fans. And history shows that they will not hesitate to make that decision when the right guy is there. The other thing that I find really interesting is when Brendan Rodgers actually got sacked was not the worst that it was under him. There were definitely periods in the previous season where it had been much worse and they could have sacked him, but they didn't. In fact, the game that he got sacked after, which was a 1-1 draw in the Merseyside derby, we weren't even that bad. So I do think that it's changed things for the higher ups. And I don't think I'm saying that more in hope than expectation, because I'll say early doors, I'm very, very pro Xabi Alonso at Liverpool. But yeah, it absolutely has changed things for them. And I'm sure they're considering it.
Darren, where do you sit with the booing debate? And also, same question, do you think that totally changed the landscape in against Slot? So people that were on the fence maybe or wanted him given more time are drifting towards a change at the very, very top.
Yeah, I agree with Keith, to be fair. I think he's right in what he says. I think as soon as Alonso was sacked, that probably changed everyone's opinions. And I think there are people, like Mo was saying, that were in the crowd that were still backing the manager only a few weeks ago. But now that Xabi Alonso is available, I think that does definitely change things for people. And I think when it comes to the booing, I think that just kind of shows how bad it is getting. I think, like we said, the first half in the game wasn't that bad. It was definitely an improvement on what we had seen. We were looking all right, but then by that time that second half comes, it's just same old, even in this unbeaten run. And I think it's just getting to a bit of a pressure point. Whether they do actually make a change now, I don't know. I still see a situation where they're going to wait till the end of the season. I think a lot does also depend on Xabi being mentally prepared to take on the job so soon after getting sacked. I think that's a major factor. So whether they would make that decision, to be fair, like Lil is saying, in that Brendan Rodgers run, I mean, I was quite young, so I don't really remember it too well. But I do remember that Brendan Rodgers should have left after that 6-1 to Stoke. I don't really want to see that happen where they leave it too long to make a decision. I think the end of the season is probably max for me. I don't think he should necessarily be given into next season. But I think anything sooner than that probably depends on Xabi Alonso's mindset.
Keith, I'm going to come back to you because I'm going to ask you, actually. I don't know. I haven't spoken to you in a couple of days. So are you still, where are you on this slot debate now? Because obviously you was very adamant that, no, I'm still slotting and he should continue and shall continue. You was very scathing of the players from our conversations and from what you say. Are you still scathing of the players? Are you still Slot must be given more time?
Look, I think history will be kind to Arne Slot. That is my opinion, ultimately. Whatever happens, whether he keeps his job, whether he loses to Xabi Alonso, I think overall he's going to have a very good career as a football manager. And I think, he may even become an interesting adversary, in my opinion. This season has been a tough season for a multitude of different aspects, right? I would argue the biggest change in terms of squads, in terms of players, in terms of real talent that we've seen leave the club since. I would say this is very interesting. More parallels I'll probably give to the Brendan Rodgers situation. It was like Brendan Rodgers trying to replace Luis Suarez is the same as Liverpool trying to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold and their impact on this team. And he has come up with solutions, some that have looked nice, some that have not looked great. But the one thing that he has been able to achieve with these players is he's been able to get the best out of players like Hugo Ekitike, first time playing at a proper big club, big opportunity. He's helped to unlock Hugo Ekitike, can't be denied, right? Florian Wirtz took some time, but now we're seeing the best out of him. Szoboszlai having arguably one of his best seasons in terms of attacking numbers and also attacking threat, also up there. The problem I've always said and said even after the transfers was that we were an imbalanced team. I've said it before and I say it again, we've signed one centre-back in 5 years. We don't have any midfielders that are defensively minded. We have wing-backs. We changed what we had for years overnight in terms of Trent and Robertson versus now with Frimpong and Kerkez, but Frimpong's been injured and Bradley's been injured and Szoboszlai's had to play there a number of times. He's had a lot to deal with, and I don't really buy in necessarily to the idea that he's tactically inept. I believe he plays a style of football that is effective, has had its ups and downs with the aforementioned issues that I think has been a big part of it. And there's others as well that we could call into. And I think at times the players have dropped the ball. I think there's players playing the season that have kind of been shielded behind the manager when actually the performance has been atrocious this season. Konate, for me, in my opinion, just watches Marcus Edwards run past him. Last season, Konate blocks that move. Everyone screams Ibu, and we get on with it and win that game 1-0. Players have let him down as much as anything. But, when he made the argument saying that Konate was always at the scene of the crime, unfortunately for Arne Slot this season, he, as the manager, has been at the scene of the crime. And ultimately, that is what you're going to be judged on. And ultimately, the result is a results business. So you have to accept that. That's where I think, yeah, 100%. Results business ever. I just don't think it's been tactical personally. But I just don't think Liverpool fans enjoy that type of football. And I think that's just something that someone who does support his tenure and I don't buy into all the really harsh negative criticism of him as a manager, him as a coach, him as a man manager. I think it's been blown way out of proportion, but ultimately he's not got the results that we've needed, and he's on borrowed time, sadly.
Manu says perfect, Keith, but then you have others that say, but Keith. Bob says, Keith, but the performances are not consequence of system, training drills, but they shine because of individual brilliance. We have no patterns of play, and that's why it looks poor.
Really? I don't know. I just don't buy into that. I mean, you could go sit down, go on YouTube. There's, I think, about 30, 40 minute of all Liverpool's goals this season. Watch those goals back and turn around and tell me that every single one of them was individual brilliance. Look at the Newcastle goal we scored. That was brilliant football. Liverpool we're not the type historically to be like tip, 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 boom. Right, we've scored some really nice goals in that style, but it's not a style that necessarily everyone likes. And I don't really think it's a style long term that's compatible with the Liverpool fan base, given what we've had for Jurgen Klopp for the last 8 years. I don't think it's ineffective. I just don't think it's something that us as a fan base can never get used to, and I don't think we ever have.
Keith, can I just ask you a question, Keith? Because the thing that's been really frustrating me is, like, whenever I switch on the TV and watch another team, like I'll use Morocco as an example in the AFCON final, they're moving the ball quicker than us. I mean, I go back to earlier in the season watching Barcelona at home to PSG, admittedly two of the best ball-playing teams in Europe, but it drives me insane. Like, I look at our football and it's so pedestrian in comparison. So yeah, like that Newcastle goal was a brilliant team goal and everyone touched the ball and it's an amazing finish and what a moment. But if you go and watch any other team, I know that we were saying at the top of the show that everyone's shit. And obviously, you know, there is an element of truth to that. The league is more competitive than ever and it's all congested around that middle area. And Arsenal, the league leaders, play diabolical football. But every other team that I watch, you know, I think, Jesus, they're so much more vertical. They're so much more direct. There's so much more pace about their play.
I think you said it there. Arsenal are diabolical to watch. They're boring. They're turgid. They score loads of goals from set pieces, and that is what it takes to win this league. This league season is a season of defense. Defending matters this season more than anything before, in my opinion. To your point, I totally agree with you, right? There are games where you sit there and you watch Liverpool, right? Team sits 2 deep banks of 4, Liverpool knocking it around X, Y, and Z. It's a slower pace. Honestly, I think for a lot of this season, it's been a trust factor. And I think it's been a complete change as well in terms of the way that we play football, right? So when you're used to Trent Alexander-Arnold, for example, being able to open up a team with a 40-yard pass and then counter-attack with fast players, as we've done, as we were always used to, where else are you going to find that type of talent to replace what we had there? We decided to move that creativity into central areas with players like Florian Wirtz, right? So when it does come off, when the triangles work, when the ball is moved quicker, we do create chances, and chances have led to goals, right? But it's, in my opinion, where we have our creativity and where we like to build up, I believe that we prefer a direct style of football in the way that you're talking about, which is, right, cool, win the ball as high as possible, take that high risk, long pass, direct ball into your strikers, into your forwards, let's go. Is that the kind of football that's winning in this league season this season? I wouldn't think so. Bournemouth are the best team. I love watching Bournemouth. They're the kind of like antidote towards Liverpool, right? Play incredible football, really open, attacking, quick, etc. But they get hammered a lot of the times this season. Do you know what I mean? They just get beaten. It's just one of those seasons, in my opinion, which goes back to the initial point where I've always believed that we did not have defensive depth going into this season. And I think we ultimately are punished for it, because we could probably have played this turgid football, had better defensive reinforcements, dealt with set pieces better, and we'd probably be fighting Arsenal for that title. And we'd both be calling both teams turgid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know, I hate saying, I hate looking back and sort of saying, oh, I remember. But I do, and I'm sure some of you are not that young. Like, come on, don't pretend you're that young. Some of you still remember Gerard Houlier's football. Some of you will remember Rafa Benitez It's football in his pomp. And I kid you not, if social media was as massive and prominent as it is now, there'd be quite a few boos ringing round, because Gerard Houllier used to set us up. He was the original 4-5-1 merchant. I kid you not. He had Emil Heskey playing wide left, Owen through the middle, Danny Murphy, Steven Gerrard, Didi Hamann, and the right winger would be, I don't know, I can't remember at the top of my head, but sort of would be like an Igor Biscan or something. You know, he was very, very defensive and looking to play on the counter-attack. It was just all about Heskey and Owen and Gerrard. That's all it was. And then Rafa carried that on with Torres and Gerrard. It was everyone else work your dude off, and Gerrard and Torres would come up with moments of magic. But social media is such a thing now that it's so prominent, you can't get away with the kind of football that he wants to implement. And we know the Dutch philosophy. When we got him, we always heard about this, that he's a very tactical coach. The way he gets his team attacking, he uses a lot of the width from his fullbacks, from his final days. And I also agree with the mitigating circumstances. I've been a defender of Slot up until it became untenable. And for me, it became untenable after the PSV result. I thought he's lost there. Like, not only the game, but I thought he's lost support of many, many, many. But I absolutely get the mitigating circumstances. But Mo, people that are wanting Xabi Alonso or crying and begging and shouting for Xabi Alonso, my biggest fear, Mo, is they're in for a bit of a rude awakening if they think Xabi Alonso is Jurgen Klopp in disguise. Because I tell you what, in my opinion, from what I've read, watched, listened to people of knowledge, Xabi Alonso is more, dare I say it, more in line with Slot's philosophy on the game.
I would probably disagree, but I respect that. Well, why I would disagree, I'll give you my reasons. I'm not comparing German league with the Premier League 1 minute, by the way, okay? It's totally different. It's about 2 levels down. But he did play attacking football. He went a season unbeaten, won the league, and he toppled Bayern, and he won the cup as well. So you can't be a bad manager for doing that. And we've all seen some clips of Leverkusen, the way they played, even with non-big names. He had Victor Boniface up front, and he was causing damage all season. So he can get good out of players that we've not heard of as well. So it comes down to whether his system he played there was a 3-4-3 would work for us. And I don't think that system would work for us. So yes and no, I agree with you. Yes, I think people got to be careful because he's not the finished article at all. But I think it's come to a point where fans are just like, do you know what? We need a change. And
I think that's what it is. I think people are just wanting the change because, look, if you listen to his podcast, or not his podcast, but his interviews or whatever, where he talks about his philosophy on football, it's all about passing. And exactly, I saw clips of it today where he's speaking about making the right pass as opposed to the first pass, quick pass, forward pass. Exactly what Liverpool fans were criticizing us for yesterday. So his philosophy is not what many think. It's exactly like Slot's. No, we need to get positional first, positional control first, and then we look to play. He's all about build-up, guys. But hey, listen, you know, he's young, and absolutely he's young, and no one can doubt. I think some people are actually forgetting that season he had at Leverkusen. That is probably one of the all-time great coaching seasons of all time. Like, I think that's a generational season for Leverkusen. Darren, Alonso obviously stands out as the ideal candidate. Is there anything in your mind that has any doubts about the Alonso situation, or is there anyone else that springs to mind? For example, I'm just putting a name out there, De Zerbi, the coach we're playing tomorrow. Fast, attacking, brave football, bit of a madman. Some would say, you know, this would be a rock and roll of a different type returning back to Anfield. Or is there any other name that sort of tickles your fancy?
I think the problem with De Zerbi is he's so unlikable as a human being that I don't know how well that's going to go down. his football is great, but as a coach, we've seen him have so many bust ups of different players on the training ground. I don't think the fans really warm to him that well, so I don't really want to consider him. The other names that have been floated around are like Nagelsmann, which I see, but my concern there is the World Cup and Germany, and then he would only be coming in halfway through July, which I don't think that's particularly great, especially if you're going to end the season. Slot goes at the end of May, and then you're going to have two months or so of an assistant, basically. I don't think that's a really good idea. There's Inzaghi, which again is 3 at the back. So whether you want Alonso or whatever, and what your opinions on that are on the 3 at the back, and then there's Fabregas, who's probably the only other one, but then he's even more inexperienced than Alonso is. So, and there's been rumors that we've spoken to Fabregas and his people. So, I think for me, Alonso makes the most sense. I think if you're going with the back 3 manager, and Liverpool had to pick between him and Inzaghi, probably Inzaghi's the better manager right now. But in terms of who would be a better fit at Liverpool, I think Alonso would be the one. And I actually do think the 3 at the back would work a lot. I know a lot of people aren't pretty set on that, but I think you've got players like Frimpong and Kirk, who I think are made to be wing-backs. We would need a couple of additions in defence, obviously, but we're going to need that anyway. We would probably need someone in midfield, but we needed that anyway. Then the only question is in attack, and it's how that's going to work with Salah, Isak, and Ekitike and Wirtz for pretty much 3 positions. But then is Salah going to be off in the summer anyway? I don't know. But I think the 3 at the back, I think a wing back system at Liverpool could be pretty fun, to be honest, with Frimpong and Kirk, because I don't necessarily see the hatred to a back 5. I think it's just really overblown quite a lot. I think, but yeah, like I'm saying, I think Alonso is probably the standout obvious choice, definitely.
Lola, I want to end this segment with you because you have admitted that you're a massive fan of Xabi Alonso. So what would Xabi Alonso change, and what would he bring to Liverpool, in your humble opinion?
Well, I think football is complicated a lot of the time, and Keith's spoken about this at length, that there are a lot of reasons why this season hasn't gone how we all wanted it to. And lots of those reasons are pretty complex. And some of them aren't even Slot's fault. But sometimes football's simple. And Xabi Alonso was the first choice of the decision makers. And crucially, we have spent combined, over 150 million on 2 key parts of that Leverkusen team that toppled Bayern Munich. And it's true that we have seen more from Wirtz and Frimpong in recent weeks. Wirtz's performance against Burnley on the weekend, that was probably the only positive, really, that I took from that day, was that he was quite clearly on another level to everybody else on that pitch. But I still have big doubts about how, when Salah does come back from AFCON, what are we going to do? How are we going to fit him in? Are we going to go back to trying to shoehorn him into midfield where the balance wasn't good? So for me, the simple answer is that we have invested a huge amount of money into Frimpong and Florian Wirtz, and we know that Xabi Alonso can get the best out of them. And you have the added bonus of the fact that he's a club legend. I grew up watching him. He was one of my heroes. He will instantly have the crowd on his side. So sometimes football's complicated, but in this case, it's simple. And I think he's the best man for the job.
He'd definitely get the buy-in from the players and time, and sort of, it'd just be a lift, wouldn't it, for everyone all around. But before that, guys, we have another game of football to be played, Mo, tomorrow. And normally you say it's a distraction from the league when you're not having a great run in the league, but this is no distraction. This is very important. This is very, very important, because we have to qualify for the Champions League next stages. The financial hit would be massive, and then not only the financial hit, just sort of the reputation. Future players that would be looking to come to join us. No Champions League football would be an absolute disaster. No, sorry, latter stages of Champions League would be an absolute disaster. Mo, Marseille tomorrow. Are you going tomorrow, Mo?
No, I'm not going tomorrow. It's a bit of a mission to go tomorrow and then Bournemouth away. I'm going to go Bournemouth away instead.
Okay. So look, Marseille tomorrow. What are you anticipating? That's going to be. It's renowned to be one of the most hostile grounds in world football. They really know how to support their team. Yeah, we're in for a difficult night.
Definitely. I'm not positive about tomorrow at all. Marseille haven't been amazing in the league, but I think they had a kept game last week and they won 9-0, and I think they won the last game as well. You got De Zerbi ball, which, like with the crowd behind him, and you got Mason Greenwood on fire as well, and they got this other player called Pikachu, or I can't pronounce his name, but he's on fire as well.
Yeah, oh, sorry, no, that's
Igor something. Igor Paccio.
It's Pai Shao.
Yeah, that's the one. Can't pronounce it. Yeah? He's on fire as well. So they've got some dangerous players. I just don't fancy us at all. Slot's going to try and problem with Slot, this unbeaten run is he's done it to set up not to lose, if that makes sense. But so we're going to go into most games set up not to lose, but we're not coming out with any wins. I think it's going to be a tough one, but ultimately, I think I'd be chuffed with a draw. I don't think we're going to get a draw. I think we're going to lose tomorrow.
Keith, we need to pick a team to lose tomorrow.
I was surprised at that, seeing as like in this unbeaten run, we did go away to the San Siro and win 1-0. So it's surprising to hear that people are.
Yeah, I just think runs are going to stop somewhere, and I think tomorrow could be a bit of an untested territory with the crowd and the atmosphere.
It'll be interesting for sure. Like the thing is, it's a must-win game, and I would like to see it being treated as such. And I think this is the type of game. If we say how simple football can be, sometimes the players themselves need to bring, tactics and all that shit goes out the window. When you've got players like Virgil van Dijk on the pitch, when you've got players like Mo Salah, Wirtz, Ekitike, like Liverpool are not going in there with any massive injury concerns. They're going in there with a pretty solid 11 that's been the same for quite a lot of this unbeaten run. But for me, the team has to pretty much pick itself, Grizz, if you're going to tell me about what team goes into it. I think it has to pick itself in terms of consistency. The obviously question is that where does Mohamed Salah fit into all of this? And if I'm honest with you, I've defended him in terms of the season as a whole because I feel like he's contributed, Cody Gakpo. But I think the last couple of games warrants him to be put aside and Mo Salah to go on the right and Florian Wirtz to go on the left. Other than that, I don't think you change a thing.
Darren, your thoughts on the possible lineup? We'll try to pick a team each and what we think. Any thoughts on the lineup, potential changes? Mohamed Salah, does he come straight back in? Obviously, he's returned from AFCON, joined in first team training. We know Konate hasn't gone with the squad. People, let me know in the chat if anything was said in the press conference in terms of if he's unavailable, because we know he's in France, but for family reasons. I'm assuming he's not going to be available, but let me know if anything was said in the press conference. That would suggest Joe Gomez, because literally he's our only other centre-back, I believe, apart from a youngster called Lucky. Yeah,
I think not.
Oops.
Idea 15 minutes.
You're back.
Not ideal, because knowing Gomez is Lucky will be stretched it off after about 15 minutes, and we're gonna have to see Lucky anyway. In midfield I think is also pretty interesting, because I know McAllister's been pretty poor for most of the season, but I'm not really a fan of Jones and Gravenberch together. I think they're so slow when we play with the pair of them. McAllister, when he's bad, is also very bad. So it's not great, but I would prefer to have McAllister next to Gravenberch, because I just think we'd look a bit better as a team. Or McAllister and Jones, whichever one. I think Salah has to come in, because like he said, Gakpo's not been very good. Unlike Keith, I've not been a defender of Gakpo this season. I've been more of a hater, I guess. I just don't think he's been playing very well for the majority of the season, and I think he's gotten very, very lucky that Arne Slot is the coach. It just depends if Salah's fit, though, to be honest, because obviously they had the third place playoff on Sunday. Bit of travel, coming back, and then again 2 days later. So it's just whether or not he's fit enough to play. And if he is, then yeah, Salah versus Ekitike is the one for me.
Lola, would you make any changes? There's no drastic changes that we will do. There's no sudden change of formation that we envisage. It's not the Slot way. It's not the Liverpool way. We have been set up to play on the counter, and we've got some brilliant away results, namely Inter Milan and Arsenal, in this run. Do you see that type of performance tomorrow, like an Arsenal away type of performance?
Well, what I'm expecting to see, and what I'm expecting to see is what the guys have already said, is that we will go to try and manage the situation, to manage the crowd, to slow the game down. But I do really think that our best chance of winning, and by the way, I think we really need to avoid defeat. That's the most important thing for our qualification hopes. But I think we can go there and win because they are going to come and attack us. We've seen it with De Zerbi's Brighton. We did struggle against them under Jurgen Klopp, but they leave spaces because they are going to come and attack you. And for me, they're not a super physically imposing side. They want to play football. Liverpool's best results this season have come against teams that want to play football, with the exception of Arsenal, who want to play rugby. I'm an Arsenal hater, by the way. The stadium is literally just out my window and to the right. It's been a very difficult time.
High five that we are all Arsenal haters, especially
If they do it, we'll come up with some ways for you to make money for that parade.
I'm already planning like Airbnb situation, charging people to use my loo, everything. I'm all over it.
Get on it. Get on that.
But I think tomorrow we really need to go and try and play football. And for that reason, I would like to see Wirtz in midfield in the 10. At some point, we need to figure out how we can put him and Salah in the same team. I don't think it's worked having Wirtz out wide when we played Salah because there's a lack of pace out wide. And I agree with everyone, by the way. Gakpo is doing my head in. I think if as a fan sitting watching either in the ground or on the telly, he's going to cut inside, then the opposing fullback knows he's going to cut inside, and that's a problem. But I want to see Liverpool go out tomorrow and really try and play football. If we win 4-3, that's great. We know what they're going to do. There's no surprises tomorrow. So our best route to winning the game, in my opinion, is to play the guys that are going to score us goals. Don't try and sit there and not concede, because we know in all likelihood we will. Our best chance is to go and have a proper go. And for me, that means, you sacrifice a bit of midfield stability by playing Florian Wirtz at number 10.
Forever Reds TV was thank you very much for joining in. He says, so let's see the Slot, quoting Slot. So let's see the lineup tomorrow if you still think there is an issue, because obviously he was asked about the Mohamed Salah situation, if there's an issue. That suggests, that hints a start, doesn't it? Or am I reading too much into that? We don't know. Well, let's see.
I think the rest of his quotes probably suggest so. I think he literally said that. I just read now, we would have won the game comfortably if Salah had played, because he would have scored all those chances, and we're starting to make more chances now. So maybe he believes we're making more chances, and Salah therefore is going to score more goals. So I'd be shocked if he benches him. I don't think he is. Seems to be hyping him up quite a lot. So let's see, innit? That could be what a romantic novel that is, from breakup to makeup. That would be beautiful.
Bob says, I hate us more now. Let Arsenal win it easily. Oh, God. let's not go there, guys. Mo, I think we're mixed opinions in terms of, let's finish what we think is going to happen tomorrow before we go on to the final segment, and that's going to be contracts of players that have come up in conversation. So what's your prediction for tomorrow, by the way?
I'm not confident, as I said. I'm going to go for a score draw, a Desmond 2-2.
After all that negativity, you think we're going to get a credible draw?
I said I'd be happy with a draw, but I wouldn't be surprised if the run stops tomorrow because of all the elements. Like,
Oh, do you imagine if it's a nasty one as well, like a 4-0 or something?
No.
That's what
there's so many elements in it. Like, if Mo comes back in the team and we lose, everyone's going to blame Mo. If there's a video going around of Jones and not taking instructions from Slot, and there's toxic, behavior since the Burnley draw. There's so much riding on this game, and there's Alonso waiting in the background. Apparently, I just think this, it must affect the players at some point as well, which we clearly see. So I just think,
in terms of the Alonso, we're going to get this so much now, guys. We need to have.
That's what I mean. Every time we drop points, it's going to be that question mark throughout the rest of the season now. Do you know what I mean?
No, every time.
Mo. I think if we win, we almost have to get some kind of result tomorrow for him to come. Because if he was going to come this season, if everything was done, finished, and we looked like it was a real uphill battle in the Champions League, maybe there wasn't a chance in FA Cup, why would Alonso come now? We almost have to sell ourselves to him. So I think tomorrow is a huge game for Liverpool Football Club, but I almost think the decision might already have been made about Slot. And it would be a good thing if we won to get Alonso through the door. I don't know. That's just speculation.
No, I kind of agree with you. Looking at Slot's body language and watching him, I just think he looks like a man who knows he's not going to be there next year.
Darren, contract situations, bloody hell, like we haven't had enough of contract situations after the Trent, Virgil and Salah had debacle last season, or I don't know if you want to call it a debacle, but in the end, 2 stayed, 1 went. I think we're coming up to around that period where we need to start thinking about a few contracts, very important contracts. 3 I just want to discuss very quickly with you guys. In fact, we'll discuss 4 of them and the 4 players that we've got in midfield. All 4 of them are said to be either about to enter talks or in talks of contracts extensions, namely McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and Jones. In your opinion, all 4 of them should be given new contracts? Because Paul Joyce mentioned Curtis Jones attracting attention from other clubs, namely Spurs. McAllister, we've heard links to Real Madrid, some like Grizz Khan calling for his head and to be sold. But where are you on the other 2, for example, Szoboszlai, people talking of as a future captain? Just those four players. And I'm going to ask the rest of you guys the same question.
Yeah, I think I'm 100% on 2 of them. I'm less so on the others. I think Szoboszlai has to stay, and it's important. I think his quotes today were quite interesting in what he was saying, that he's keeping his options open. And to be fair enough. I think at the end of the day, we are having a terrible season, so he probably needs some reassurances that we're going to get better in the next season. So I can understand why he's wanted to wait on that one. I think we need Curtis Jones to stay. Was it after the PSV game where he came out with his interview and basically said that there wasn't enough leadership and all that kind of thing? And I think he's kind of needed in the dressing room for that. He's also good enough to start some weeks. He's a really good squad player as well. McAllister, I would love him to stay, but he's had such a poor season and he does look like he's running through mud. And if his body has left him, then we need to cash in, unfortunately, which is a shame because I do think he's the best midfielder of the lot, but he's just not being there. Gravenberch, I'll probably get a bit of hate for this one. I would like to see. I don't want to rush to give him a new deal. I would like to go into next season and just to see him up his game a little bit. I think he's been incredibly overrated in his performances. I think he's been almost as poor as McAllister this season. Lola, you're shaking your head. I just don't.
I actually agree.
He's playing at the. He's playing a position, right? I will give this. He is playing a position which he isn't suited to. He's not a 6 at all. He should be an 8. But then the decision comes: is he better than Szoboszlai? I don't think he is. Is he better than McAllister? I don't think he is. So I think he still needs to kind of prove that he deserves a contract, deserves an extension. I wouldn't really totally be against us cashing in on Gravenberch. I think he kind of lived off that turn, and that was it. He's had a really poor year. He has. I think he has. I don't think his performances has matched up to those first 4 months of last season, where he was really good, but then he fell off a cliff, and then we got excuses of him being tired. It's a year later now, and he hasn't hit those heights again. He's had maybe 2 good games this season. I think he's been quite lucky that McAllister's been as bad as McAllister has been, because he's kind of similar to Gakpo, has kind of gotten away with it. Gakpo not anymore, but I think Gravenberch still is.
Keith, contracts, midfielders, who are you keeping? Who are you extending, and who are you saying thank you very much?
Yeah, I think. Do you know what, right? I think I keep all of them, but there's only one that I would say, I'd say give improved terms. I think in terms of their ages, I think, McAllister's 26.
Breaking news. You are all politicians who sit on the fence, and then he's put up a euro sign. Is it dollars? I don't know, whichever currency it is. So I think John Joe, YNA, you never walk alone, I should say, is suggesting we're all sitting on the fence. And
I don't think so. I thought Darren made a great argument against Gravenberch. You know, I don't personally agree with it, but I love.
I mean, how he worked that out, we'll never know. But some others do have them.
Look, the only it's a funny old tale. My dad used to say it all the time, but he always had this opinion that there were sometimes in a World Cup season, certain players that play for teams like kind of take away 1% or 2%.
I know where you're going with this. I know where you're going.
McAllister, you watch in America in June when all of a sudden legs gone McAllister turns into the road runner for Argentina, and he is running. You're looking at him, you're thinking that's not the same guy I just watched all season. Where did it come from? He's been saving it all this time. Because I do agree. I think for me, he's the one that really, and I love him more than anything. Last season, I thought he was amazing. One of the key players in our title-winning season. He had an injury that was a lot worse than we really think about. He was out of the game for 4 months. I mean, that was a long-term injury, but because it happened after the Spurs game, and we had all that time off where we were celebrating and then et cetera, he didn't have a preseason. He came back. I don't think he played. I think the Charity Shield was the first game that he played back, and I don't think that he came back 100% the same man that he did. So the groin injury he had, they could take a chunk or two out of your career, certain type of injuries, and it looks like that's what's happened to him. But I'll reserve my judgment for after the World Cup. Otherwise, look, these boys are young. You know what I mean? Szoboszlai is 25, McAllister's 25 to 26, Curtis Jones is 22, Gravenberch 22, 23. You know, I think they've got so much more to go. They've got so much more that they can achieve. And
renew them all. Basically, renew them all. McAllister for me is the one where I'm like, have you lost that Leonardo pace long term? If that's the case, then I think a transfer to Real Madrid is or elsewhere. I think we would take our chances. You know what FSG are like, Liverpool are like. They will cash in on certain man, and I think McAllister's the type of player they would cash in on. But the other three, absolutely keep him, and I think it's time to reinforce in that area. I think we've been calling for it for as long as we can. Since Fabinho exited the club, we've been asking for a Fabinho replacement, and I think it's about time we probably replenish that area and keep Jones, Gravenberch, and Szoboszlai. Give them new deals. Look after them. Lola, 4 midfielders contracts chat is hotting up and will be in the next 6 months to a year. What are you doing?
Well, Darren, I'm sorry for shaking my head while you were speaking. I think Gravenberch is such a rare talent. He's got pace, he's got strength, he's got height, he can pass, he can score. This season, his goal scoring stats are better than they have been. I do agree that he's not a natural 6, and I think long term we need to look at moving forward from him in that position and pushing him into the 8. But for me, he's like a £100 million mistake waiting to be made. Like, that is the level of this player, in my opinion. He is one of the best midfielders in the world. So I think we've got to tie him down. I don't think there's a club in Europe that wouldn't benefit from having Ryan Gravenberch as part of their squad. He's an elite player.
Right, apparently, but hey, it's their loss, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm sure they regret it. But so for me, definitely sign him. I would definitely give Jones a contract on the basis that I think he's a really important part of the squad off the pitch just as much as on it. We lost Trent in the summer. It's easy to say about having that local connection in the team, but it is important. He's a fan in the team. He loves the club. His comments against PSV after the PSV game show that. So those two definitely. Szoboszlai, 100%. Make it happen. Don't wait around. Don't do what you did with the defenders and with the others. He is the future captain of our club. Give him what he wants. We don't want to give ourselves more headaches. McAllister, it's not even necessarily a legs gone or not, although I did see a video of him at the World Cup in Qatar running a lot faster than I've seen him run for a while for Liverpool. I agree he's a wonderful player, but in a strange way, he's the easiest to replace with what we've got in the squad. I think the signing of Wirtz has impacted him because they actually both want to occupy some of those same spaces in the pockets. And just pure physicality, lack of height is a problem when you're then accommodating Florian Wirtz in the team. So for that reason, and the fact that we know Real Madrid are interested, and the fact that McAllister and his dad have both made noises about potentially liking that move, and then you add to the fact that Real Madrid really, really, really need to replace Toni Kroos because they haven't. They need to replace Kroos and Modric. I think it's probably a bit of a no-brainer to take the money there. So definitely Jones, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, but I'd be willing to have a conversation about McAllister if we could get a good fee.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you on that. The Gravenberch debate, and we'll save it for another day during the summer transfer windows chat come up, and we'll discuss that. But Gravenberch is so frustrating for me. I've always been so frustrated with Gravenberch ever since his Ajax days. I agree with you in terms of talent and natural raw ability. I think he has it all. I think he lacks venom. Why does a footballer need venom? You're looking at me probably thinking, well, what do you mean by venom? But I just think in this position that he's been deployed and in the Premier League, you need a certain nastiness about you, a bit of crudeness, a bit of dark arts. I think he lacks all that. I want him to be more aggressive. I want him to be more nasty. Get yellow cards. I don't give a shit if he misses the odd game here and there because of a compilation of yellow cards, suspension. I want my DM to do that. I think he lets players get away with it without committing a foul enough. You know what I mean? Bring him down. Do what you got to do.
He's so young, though. It's not
absolutely. Give him time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's got to learn. You got to remember this is his second full season at the number 6 role. I absolutely agree with that as well. But the McAllister chat, yeah, you guys know. I've made it very clear. I don't think McAllister, Wirtz, and Salah can play in the same team in the Premier League and be successful. I just can't. I can't see it, and it won't happen. It simply won't happen. At least one of them won't be at Liverpool next season. At the moment, it looks like it probably will be Salah who's not there, but then I'd still worry about McAllister and Wirtz in the same team, especially if we are thinking of playing the two up front that we are, which is Ekitike and Isak. I don't know how you fit in McAllister and Wirtz in that midfield. That would be my worry and concern. Couple of names to contemplate with the centre-back situation scenario. Mo, I know you like to keep abreast of all players around Europe and got a massive, large database on players that you can't pronounce. So we have 3 names for you. I'd like you to choose one. Schlotterbeck, Van de Ven, and who was the third one? Bastoni. I have given you 3 names for possible centre-backs, left-sided centre-backs. Heir apparents to the Virgil van Dijk throne, maybe, possibly. Choose one.
Can't we have 2?
No, you can't, no.
All right, in order of my preference, I'd go number 1. It's a toss-up between Bastoni or Schlotterbeck. I'd go Bastoni because there's the future Italian centre-back partnership there, Bastoni and Leone, purely for that reason. And that can build up in international level and at a club level. Number 2, Schlotterbeck. Number 3, Van der Ven. He's just a pace merchant. I don't want him anywhere near our club, to be honest.
I'm going to block your ass. You don't know how much I love Van der Ven. Anyway, Darren.
I think he's a pace merchant. I think take that pace away from him. He's soon as he does his hamstring, you'll see how his flaws as a defender will be shown.
Okay, Darren. 3 names.
Bastoni, the best. Schlotterbeck, the young, best potential, probably out of the 3, given his age. And then I'd agree with Van der Ven as well. I like him though.
Fair enough. Keith?
It's interesting, Mo, when you ask, can I have 2? Because, like, realistically, Liverpool really do need to do like
we need 2, yeah. We need 2.
Least like an Ekatike level of investment in these
But we're not going to buy 3. We're not going to buy 2 left-sided, 2 left-footed centre backs. I think the other one's going to be more right-sided and then left-sided. So that's why I'm just focusing on the left-sided, left-footed profile that we need. Yeah.
I do like Van der Ven. I hear where Mo's coming from because those players that have hamstring issues and
no, he's right.
They always go. But he's got
at some point it's going to go. Like
if he didn't have such bad injury record, I am Van der Ven. If you offered it to me right now, between the 3 of them, for sure.
Wow.
I like him a lot. Yeah. I think he's been. I hear Mo's concern about the hammies and yet another injury-prone left-sided centre back.
The reason why I'm saying that is because I think he's the most plug-in and play out of the 3 right now. Premier League, played in there. Virgil van Dijk knows him. They're very good friends off the pitch. He loves Liverpool. He actually loves Liverpool. And I think we need players that love Liverpool, if you know what I mean. I think we're lacking players that actually got absolute love for this club. Can't prove it, but it just seems like some of them are not enjoying their time here. We need people who really want to be here and love Liverpool. And he loves Liverpool. Lola, same 3 names, please.
Schlotterbeck is really high on my list just because if you think he, eventually on the left side, he would be replacing Van Dijk. And if you think we miss Trent's passing ability on the right, we will miss Van Dijk's ability to play line-breaking passes terribly. I wonder, can Schlotterbeck do a bit at left-back as well? Can he?
I think, he can be deployed there.
I don't know, maybe in a back three.
It'd be like Dan Burns at Newcastle, kind of.
Exactly like that.
Yeah. You could have Virgil in the middle and Schlotterbeck on the left side, but I think actually one of the biggest failings of the summer transfer window wasn't that they didn't buy good players. I think we all agree that all the players they signed are good players. It was with Trent, they didn't replace any of that creativity. I mean, it's crazy to say, but creativity from the back, that passing ability. And they tried to kind of do that by signing a combination of different players. And I don't think that's worked. I think we've struggled to get out of presses. We've struggled to progress the ball. So Schlotterbeck is top of my list on the basis that he's got brilliant ability on the ball. And I love Bastoni. And I also really like Van der Ven. So to be honest, I'd be really happy with any of them. But I think the most urgent need would be for a ball-playing centre-back.
Just my threepence. Bastoni is a beast. He's elite. He's had a bit of a dip. But potentially profile, physicality, reading of the game. Plus he's Italian, guys. Think about that for a second. Do you not want an Italian centre back? Come on, guys.
Centre-back partnership.
Are you turning your nose up at an Italian centre back? Come on, guys. If you know your football and you know your footballing history and culture, if you want a centre back, you get an Italian centre back. Bastoni is wonderful. Schlotterbeck, I'm going to reserve my giving my opinion. I've got an opinion and view on him, but I don't want to end the show with everyone swearing and effing and blinding at me in the chat. So I'm going to reserve and give my view on Schlotterbeck as the weeks progress, because we will be linked with him. Keep an eye on Van Hecker of Brighton. I think his name will be brought up as well. Let's see how that one goes. Cheap, last year of his contract. I think there may be a link to him, but he wouldn't be anywhere near my list personally. We have to end on an unpopular opinion, because that's just fun, isn't it? End up on a super chat from Bharat. Thank you very much for this donation. He says, unpopular opinion for the panel, but I don't think this squad is a million miles away from challenging again. Love our midfield options. We do need pacey wingers on both sides and centre-back options. Missing height in our team, though. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. And even if it is, ignore them. I think that's a very popular opinion, especially in my world, because I agree with you. And that's what counts, because this is my show. So it's a very popular opinion, and I totally agree with you. I don't think it's a million miles away at all, this squad. Don't let the doom and gloom merchants take full control. Stay in control, people. End of the show. I guess we can talk about Liverpool and carry on talking about Liverpool until sunrise or sunset, wherever you are. But we must end and we must hope and walk on with hope in our heart that tomorrow we beat Marseille and De Zerbi ball is flattened and squashed. So no more rumors of De Zerbi ball taking over Slot ball. I hope Slot ball wins tomorrow, and long may our unbeaten run continue, whether it's AI or not. I don't know. I want to thank all of you, especially Lola making a debut. Thank you very much, Lola. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Darren, Mo, Keith will be catching up in the WhatsApp group, no doubt. And all that's left is for me to wish all of you peace, love, and tranquility. Take care. Bye-bye.